Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, and my colleague, Russell Berger, both attorneys at Offit Kurman. And today, since we're in a new year, we're talking about performance evaluations and compensation adjustments. So this time of year, a lot of times we're having concluded a full year. A lot of companies are looking at performance, doing feedback, evaluations, looking ahead to the year of how they want to, structure evaluations moving forward. And then with that, sometimes also comes, awarding bonuses or determining whether there's going to be salary increases. So what are some things to get us started, Russell, that people should be thinking about while they're engaging in this process in the beginning of the year?
Yeah, so one thing that I think I've said it here before, but I think bears repeating is I really think there should be alignment between the business goals and the comp model. And that applies in a lot of different circumstances. But especially like this time of year where you've gone through strategic planning, you have your goals laid out for 2024, and you're rolling those things out to your management team and as well as your employees. I think it makes sense where feasible to tie your incentive compensation, whether it's bonus, whether it's commission, however you're doing it, to hitting those objectives. And that can be done in a lot of ways. It can be done kind of high level in terms of, just if we hit these objectives, then you get this bonus. But it can also be more tactical because certain people in certain roles are going to have an impact on a sliver of that high level goal, and so you want to incentivize whatever their role is within meeting the larger goal. So you want to develop comp plans that hit on those things. So I mean that's really the first thing is, am I paying people in a way where instead of just paying them because I have to pay them, I'm actually using it as a management tool to get the kind of performance and the prioritization out of this employee that I want.
Yeah, and I think it's an important time too to start evaluating to kind of what are the metrics, how are you going to measure them, how have you done it throughout the year? Because even if you've got a good plan in place and you say, all right, this is how I'm going to measure it, here's how I'm going to incentivize people, you've got to look back and say, all right, well, how am I actually doing that? How am I measuring that? And usually getting to the end of the year and then trying to recreate what happened last year is not the most advisable way of doing that. Having check-ins throughout the year and kind of figuring out, how people are doing and managing that way can also be a really good, often be a very good way of keeping an eye on things throughout the year, whether those incentives are actually working. A lot of times people also structure it in a way that, companies will structure it in a way that it's not an end of the year bonus. Maybe there's something along the way. That can also be another way to do it. Or, some incentives and different milestones along the way can both incentivize people throughout the year, but also can encourage record keeping and evaluations and check-ins by managers, because both on managing the good results and on managing the poor results, better to have some milestones and some different measurement periods and not just maybe lob it all onto one thing at the end of the year once a year's already passed and something happened last January and now you're addressing it this January. That's a little bit too attenuated for a lot of systems.
Yeah, well, and that's the same advice we give with feedback, right? Like don't wait till the annual performance review to tell someone they could have been doing something slightly better. You give them real-time feedback, give it in small doses, give it more frequently. When you're on a call with someone, the call ends, call them up and give them the feedback right away. Don't wait till your weekly one-on-one 3 days later. Those sorts of things. And I think it's again tying it back to the business's goals for the year. You're rolling those things out to people that you're supervising and that they're supervising. It's important to make that part of those conversations and say, hey, this was really good and how it's going to help us get to where we as a business need to go, and giving that feedback. Or that was okay in the past, but we want to do things a little bit differently because one of our goals this year is X. So giving that feedback in real time and telling people what you're aiming at and coaching them on how to help get the business there, I think is really important as well and ties right into the comp conversation.
And another piece that we talk to folks a lot about this time of year on the comp side is whether to do a salary increase or a bonus. And it's actually a good time. I know here in Maryland, our the minimum wage has gone up, this year earlier than expected, now $15 an hour. So, you might have to be increasing people's pay or hourly rates anyway in your state, depending on whether there's new laws in effect. So always a good time to check in on that. But something to consider as far as just what you were talking about, Russell, as far as what incentivizes people, kind of what you're tying the comp conversation to. Is it a set incentive and you want to bonus someone at the end of that? Are you making salary increases for cost of living adjustments, or do you already have just kind of a structure set up based on how people are doing or years of service that might warrant some salary increases? So there's different theories around which way you want to go, what you might want to do as far as bonus versus salary. But then also something to keep in mind, some states there might also be new requirements in that regard that force your hand in one direction or another. Well, thanks, Russell. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.